All right, everybody. Welcome to the Week 7 preview show on the PVG podcast. We got Persian Pinocchio and Dr. Greek talking some fantasy football, overall football. We're going to preview all the games and talk about some big news for the
C-Mac.
Niners. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey. So all good topics here, and we'll get started. So let's go. First of all, let's go over what happened last night, Thursday night football. So we had the Arizona Cardinals versus the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah,
What did you think about that game?
I knew it was gonna be a. I knew it was gonna be a high scoring game. I started all the players that I could on that game, even Will Lutz and Benjamin in a lot of leagues. I just traded Stephon Diggs for DeAndre Hopkins, Jeff Wilson, and Gabe Davis. And DeAndre Hopkins, Benjamin. I had Taysom Hill and Will Lutz. So my team kind of blew up yesterday in that league.
Yeah.
And even though Thursday night football has been very low scoring the last few
Mm-hmm.
weeks, I kind
Yeah.
of knew we were due for a breakout. I'm kind of beating myself up. I didn't play, Benjamin in one league where I have Kenyon Drake, but I think Drake's gonna do good too. But I don't know if he's gonna
Yeah.
get as many points.
Yeah. I'm going to
So
go over that. I definitely want to talk about Kenyon Drake a little bit more later on in the show. Going back to my predictions, right? We said it's kind of we were kind of off on this because we said, okay, the Saints are going to win. Who's going to start? Is it going to be Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston? And we both agreed that Andy Dalton was the better starter, and then he goes ahead and throws 2 pick sixes. So anybody who's starting the Arizona defense, and there was actually a person in our league that was starting the Arizona defense, surprisingly enough, and it
I know
turned out to be the right call because they had 2 pick sixes.
playing the Arizona defense, so I'm still like behind a little bit, but because they also
Mm.
had Alvin Kamara, and Kamara got some garbage points at the end too.
Kamara had a good game as far as like PPR. If you're in PPR league, he
Yeah,
scored about almost 20
17,
points. Yeah, about
17.
18 points there. And DeAndre Hopkins again. What I said he was going to have 12 targets, 9 catches, 100 and plus yards, and so I was pretty
Yeah,
right about that one.
yeah, you're
I think
right
he had
about
10
that.
catches, 13 targets, or 14 targets.
That's why I
So it was
wasn't
even
mad.
more.
That's why I didn't when I saw that trade for Stephon Diggs, like one
Mm-hmm.
player, Stephon Diggs for DeAndre Hopkins, almost a fair trade by itself, and then
Yeah.
getting Gabe Davis and Jeff Wilson, I was like, snap call all in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
accept the trade. You know,
Yeah, no, I mean that's a decent trade. I mean, before of course the CMAC trade, they're getting the Niners traded for Christian McCaffrey last night during the game, and they gave up, some draft capital, in next year's draft, pretty much one
so
pick in the
so
following year's draft. But it's just gonna be a big acquisition for them. I mean, they're gonna use him all over the field. Like they're gonna have Debo and him in the backfield. But unfortunately for you, Jeff Wilson Jr., who you just traded for, is probably not going to have as much value. He'll probably get some run the ball. They'll have Kittle, Ayuk, Samuel, McCaffrey, and then Wilson might be in the backfield. They might line McCaffrey up in the slot sometimes. So, and have Wilson in the backfield until Mitchell gets back. Once Mitchell gets back, then he'll be in the backfield
yeah,
more. So, you
I
know,
I also traded for and picked up Jimmy G in a lot of leagues
okay.
prior
Yeah.
to the trade and after the trade.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up Jimmy G to start this week because I had Josh Allen in a lot of leagues. I think Jimmy G is gonna get a lot of dump offs to Christian McCaffrey screen passes and all
Yeah.
that. Any one of those, like Christian McCaffrey can go for
Yeah.
50, 60 yards.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Garoppolo, he's got a lot of weapons. So, like the Niners are loaded
yeah,
now and on the offense. I mean, they've got Kittle,
I
who's yak, Debo, yak guy,
I think
Ayuk, yak guy,
it
you know.
might it might take away some carries from Debo. I had a feeling the Niners were going to trade for him. Like it was already
Mhm.
like there's rumors, and so that's why I picked up Foreman in like all my leagues.
Yeah, you did.
I,
I was like, wait, why is this guy picking him? Because I was looking at that. because I had a feeling too the trade was going to happen because of the connection with Shanahan and McCaffrey, and like his dad, Ed McCaffrey was like Shanahan's like idol, and he like had his college number, based on McCaffrey's number, and so there was some like family connection there, and you kind of could kind of hear the whispers that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it kind of like felt like the right move, like it was going to happen. So,
And hopefully we have the same success. This is the 49ers going all in with Jimmy G this season, and he's going to play a lot better now with a better running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Eli Mitchell coming back, and we have
yeah, they added depth,
Wilson.
decent running backs. I mean, Jeff Wilson Jr. is not a bad running back. Eli Mitchell's not a bad running back, but now you're adding an all-pro, running back who can, play all over.
Both their dads had success. They won Super Bowls in Denver. Hopefully we get a couple,
Yeah, no, definitely.
Get
I
to
mean,
7.
Shanahan just has all kinds of weapons now. I mean, he should be able to scheme some plays where he's got Debo and McCaffrey in the backfield, and he's running them out to the slot, and they're running like screens or quick passes, or they're faking doing an option, and then they're throwing like with the RPO and throwing deep to Kittle on a seam route or Ayuk, and he's got all kinds of options. They just got to.
Do you think it's gonna negatively affect Debo Samuel's, like, because he's gonna get less carries probably?
Yeah, I can see Debo getting less carries, but he's still gonna be a big part of the offense. He's still gonna make big plays. It definitely is gonna help Garoppolo. I mean, Garoppolo now has another weapon, so his fantasy value actually goes up in this. Because McCaffrey's gonna be able to catch a lot of balls coming out of the backfield, and he's so shifty and he makes quick, decisive cuts, and he's going to be getting those yak yards for sure. Exciting time to be a Niners fan, so everybody's really pumped on it. So we'll see how things play out.
Foreman is probably going to be the lead back, but it's probably going to be a timeshare. But you can't play him this week because he's playing Tampa Bay.
Yeah. So I know the coach came out and said that they're not naming a starter, and it's going to be kind of a running back type committee, and he even mentioned their third string running back as well.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so you got Chuba Hubbard, you got Deontay Foreman. I think Deontay Foreman's probably going to get the early down work, and then Chuba Hubbard's probably going to be the pass catching back third down. So, their team stinks. I mean, yeah. I don't really think, it's worth a pickup because you're getting a starting running back. But, if you're looking at game flow, I mean, this week against Tampa, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? They're going to get crushed. So, that's one game already that we can bet on Tom Brady to have a good game.
A little foreshadowing. I would like to see NFC Championship, San Francisco 49ers versus the New York Giants.
Oh, the New York Giants.
Like the old days. Like the old days.
Yeah. So New York Giants are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. You got Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones going heads up. But the Giants are all about Saquon Barkley. He's having a renaissance year, after a couple of, bad seasons, hurt seasons. So, he's looking good. He's, top running back in fantasy right now. So, he's going to have a big game against Jacksonville. They're not a good run defense. So I expect New York to win that game. Jacksonville has been struggling a little bit more on offense. The Giants, who have a decent defense. So
yeah, I picked up their defense in a lot of leagues. I think they're gonna have another big game, and Jacksonville's been struggling after a good start, kind of reverting back to old behaviors. I guess
they're Jacksonville again. They're being themselves. We are who they thought they were, right? So
they had
Jacksonville.
They had a chance to beat Indy last week, right? They were close, but
yeah, I mean, they played with Indy, but Indy's not that good a team either. So that was a winnable game. And then they lost against the Texans. They couldn't score touchdowns the week before. So they're struggling running the ball with James Robinson. It looks like Travis Etienne is kind of past him. He's like the better running back now. So, it's hard to trust James Robinson in your starting lineup. When I made that trade, right? So we go back to that trade with DeAndre Hopkins, Alvin Kamara for James Robinson and Brandon Ayuk. I mean, I think Brandon Ayuk, he had a great game last week. He had 2 touchdowns. He had, almost 100 yards receiving. So, he had his kind of his breakout game, but it's hard now to trust him. Like he's definitely third or fourth option in the offense,
Yeah.
and then you've got James Robinson, who's basically the second RB now on Jacksonville.
He still
So
got 13 touches last week, but just didn't do much with him. Um,
no,
um,
he hadn't though. If you looked at his games, even early in the season, he was getting a ton of touches, but he wasn't doing much. He had like one or two big plays in each game that kind of made his day look better than it was.
oh
But like if
really?
you looked at his like on the like he one of the games, it was like he had like 15 carries for like 100 yards, but he had like a 50-yard touchdown, right? So the other 15 carries, he only got 50 yards. So that was just something that I noticed in the beginning. Like he was having good games, but he was having like one or two big plays that kind of helped those games out. And
Yeah.
now he hasn't been having those big plays. It's been ETN having the big plays. So we'll see what happens moving forward. I mean, I think James Robinson, he's still, you still got to play him, but he's more of a flex option right now.
What do you think Christian McCaffrey's game's gonna? Do you think they're gonna throw him right into like full workload or
No, I mean,
no?
even Shanahan said this morning it's maybe red zone packages. I don't even know if he's going to play, honestly, on Sunday. Like
Oh
they're
really?
saying, yeah, they're saying red zone packages maybe. I mean, you never know. You make a big move, you got a big game against the Chiefs. Like you hope to be able to play him, but it was just happened so late in the week. I mean, they only have the walkthrough today, and he's not even going to probably be there on time because I think he gets in around 11 o'clock
Oh
today.
really?
So he's not even going to get any practice time, and he's got to learn the playbook and everything else. I mean, maybe they put him in for if they have him active even for a couple of red zone packages, but that's all that I would see happening. He's not going to get like 15 to 20 touches. He might get like 5 to 10 if
Yeah.
he's even active. And what I'm considering is I picked up Kenyon Drake this week, and it looks like J.K. Dobbins is going to be out because he didn't practice all week.
Yeah.
And so Kenyon Drake's kind of coming off a good game where he had like 10 rushes for over 100 yards and a touchdown. And then they're playing Cleveland this week, and Cleveland's got a really bad run defense. So I I'm gonna probably start Kenyon Drake over Christian McCaffrey this week because I just don't know what I'm gonna get. I don't even know if he's gonna be active, and he's playing in the late game window, so
Yeah.
it's tough to trust that. And knowing from a fantasy football perspective, I mean, if McCaffrey's active, I can see him getting a touchdown, but how many yards is he going to get? If is he going to be really involved in the offense? Probably not. So like, could you hope for a touchdown? But with Kenyon Drake, you're probably going to get
Yeah.
the majority
I'm
of the carries
I'm
and
starting
chances of
Drake.
scoring.
I'm starting Drake in a lot of leagues. I picked him
Mhm.
up. I picked him up to start him. So like
Yeah,
I
and
don't know why
then
he's only projected like 5 points.
yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's a weird projection this week, but I think that'll change. But I know that Justice Hill's coming back. They might activate Gus Edwards, so then there's a little bit of kind of like, okay, well, what's going to happen? But I can see Kenyon Drake being their main back, especially after he played so well last week. So
Yeah.
I know that we've trusted Drake in the past. He's disappointed for sure when he was on the Cardinals. It was like, I think a lot of people drafted him even in like as high as the second round, like a couple years ago. I think it was last year, and he
I went
just
hard
really
on Drake that
disappointed.
year
Yeah,
and it was
and
bad.
he was not an RB1. So we can try to trust him this week. I mean, this is probably the best spot he's going to be in all year. So as far as we didn't know what it was going to be last week, and he had a really good game, and this week hopefully he gets more than
Yeah.
10 touches. And
Even if both those guys come back, they're coming back off like serious injuries.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
it's like
You don't
it's,
think they're probably just going to mix in, and Drake's healthy and he had a great week last week. So
yeah.
you'd assume that he's going to be the guy. Receiver wise, I know they just signed Deshaun Jackson. You picking him up and playing him?
No.
So you're going with Devin Duvernay. And I think
Even
Rashad
though
Bateman's going to be
even
back.
though
So
I love Deshaun Jackson and
in his
no,
Raiders career, or what? Is that where you're going with it? Him fumbling like before he's about to score a touchdown, or like so many times.
Dak coming back, Dak Prescott, and he's playing Detroit.
Yeah,
Do
so we
you,
got the Cowboys and Detroit Lions. I think Cowboys are going to roll. I think Dak's going to come back strong. I like Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, start to have more productive days, and the running backs too, like Pollard and Zeke. I think the Dallas offense is going to be a lot better with Dak at the helm as opposed to Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is more of a manager. He wasn't, he made some plays, but he wasn't a guy they wanted him to go out and throw 25, 30 times. Dak's going to do that, have a big game against Detroit. I think Detroit's not a good defense. Cowboys have a really good defense. So I can see it being a 3 to 4 touchdown performance for Dak, and probably going to get the running backs involved and get Michael Gallup involved. So
what about on Detroit side? Do you see anybody viable plays?
yeah, that's going to be a tough game for them. I mean, DeAndre Swift's coming back, so I'm going to play him. And then
What about
on
Jamal
St. Brown.
Williams?
Yeah, that's more of a tough call because if DeAndre Swift's back, it's like, I think that he's going to be the 60-40 probably timeshare, maybe 65-35%. So, it's tough to trust Jamal Williams. He might get a touchdown for you. So, but he's just a flex play at this point.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift's probably like an RB2. I'm on St. Brown. He's going to be solid. He's going to get a ton of targets. I'm sure that Detroit's going to be playing from behind. And so he's definitely going to be back on the wide receiver 1 radar there. And Josh Reynolds has been good for them. So he's probably a wide receiver 3. He's all on St. Brown's going to soak up them targets. But he takes a lot of chances. And, he can be beat. He's not like a shutdown corner. He's like a ball hawk corner where he'll make the plays or make the pick, but he'll take a lot of chances.
Yeah.
And so, receivers usually have a decent game against him. So, I can see him on St. Brown having a huge game this week. Falcons playing the Bengals this week in Cincinnati. I know that you were asking me about Marcus Mariota after he had a pretty good game against the Niners last week.
Yeah.
So I know that you were considering starting him as a streaming option with, a lot of the quarterbacks on by like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. So what do you think? Are you going to play Mariota, or did you decide on somebody else like Garoppolo?
If Garoppolo was available, I picked up Garoppolo, and if he wasn't, then I picked up Ryan. Marcus Mariota could, even though he gets carries, like sometimes he has those games where it's like 5 points, and it's like you just don't know what you're gonna get. And
yeah, I agree. I mean, Atlanta showed you who they are against the Niners. Like they're going to run the ball and they're going to try to just milk the clock. They're going to try and get the lead. They got a decent defense. So, but they got a lot of starters out. So it's going to be hard.
I have to start him in our league because I use all my pickups. And Jimmy G was already taken. And I think you have Matt Ryan. And so.
Yeah.
There wasn't very many other choices. So I'm starting him in our league. Hopefully he gets like 23, 24 points in our league.
You got the running backs from Atlanta. You've got Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier.
Do you think Huntley's going to do good?
It was kind of like a 50-50 split, but it looked like Huntley was the better back, from the eye test. But they're probably going to get, equal work again. They just kind of rotate and split touches. So I think both guys are just like flex options at this point, and you just hope that the guy you start gets the touchdown, right? So like it's kind of that thing. So I mean they're RB 3-4s essentially, but they're both going to get if it goes to the game plan, they're going to get 10 to 15 touches each. But the problem is they're playing Cincinnati this week. Cincinnati's got, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow throwing the ball, and they're down. I think Casey Hayward's out. and they're down. They're kind of beat up last week. A couple of their corners got hurt against the Niners and their safety. So I think Cincinnati's going to have a big game against them.
Oh,
They're
really?
going to, yeah. I think Jamar Chase, T. Higgins,
I got that. I got that stacked in a
Burrow.
lot of leagues. Burrow and
Yeah.
Chase.
No, and I think Cincinnati's going to win that game. They're Atlanta,
No.
they got kind of just the game flow and like kind of what happened kind of just got the Niners. And the Niners didn't seem like they were ready to play. They should 9 out of 10 times Niners are going to beat Atlanta. But I just they're a solid team, but I don't think they can go into Cincinnati and win this week. I see Cincinnati winning, and I see their skilled players on the outside. The wide receivers are going to have a good game. I
I
don't
don't know.
see Mixon having a good game.
Atlanta has played everybody tough. Like they've been in every game this year.
Yeah,
They
yeah. No,
and every game has been a one
mhm,
score game. They
yeah,
barely lost to Tampa Bay on that bullshit personal foul and
the roughing the passer,
roughing the
Brady
passer
Jarrett, like
and
gently setting down Tom Brady and him
it,
trying to kick him in the groin, and he even got fined for that. And they didn't even flag him. But Brady gets away with so much. I mean, that was such a weak kick too. It was like this little kick in the air. It looked so funny. So
and
so, so
they
yeah.
barely lost to the Rams. The first, I think it might have been week 1 or week 2 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah, no, Atlanta's a tough team. They're going to play tough. They're 3-3. They're tied with the Bucks for the division lead. So, they're not a bad team. They're going to play you tough. They're going to run the ball. They're going to come at you. So, it should be a tough game, but I do see Cincinnati winning that game. So we got the Texans going into Las Vegas playing the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders. So Josh Jacobs, is Devontae Adams suspended? No, he's not, right? I haven't heard anything like that. So for his push of the camera guy.
I don't think
So
that was suspension worthy.
you do?
No,
I don't think so either. I think that guy just jumped in front of him and he was like, "Get out of my way, bro. Like, what are you doing? Like, why didn't security keep him from jumping in front of him?" I mean, I didn't even understand that. Like we talked about last time. I think that was dumb.
yeah.
Anyways, so Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, gonna have big games. Houston, bad run defense. On the other side, Damian Pierce, gonna have a big game. He's gonna run the ball a ton. They want to give him like 20 carries at least. That's what Lovie Smith is saying. So I definitely, he's the only Texan I'm really starting. I know that Brandon Cooks, is okay, but Damian Pierce is really the guy on that team, and that's it. Vegas is going to win their second game. They're going to beat them.
I noticed people were more willing to trade Brees Hall than Damian Pierce. There's a couple teams that I traded with that had both Brees Hall and Damian Pierce, and
Yeah,
they're like, I'll trade Brees Hall, but I'm not going to trade Damian Pierce. And
yeah, Damian Pierce he's that guy. He's the only guy in the backfield. I think with Brees Hall, it's like people worry maybe about Michael Carter, but Brees Hall is a good player. You've picked him up in a couple of your leagues, and I wish I had him, but that guy looks like a stud. He's a player.
And I realized this year playing fantasy football that no player is untradeable. Like there's a good enough offer where I got Damian Pierce, Zeke Elliott, and Jimmy Garoppolo for. I mean, that was kind of a bad trade, but Josh Allen, Mark Andrews,
Yeah, I do not agree with that trade.
I wanted
Jimmy Garoppolo, Josh Allen. Josh Allen, we already said, man, that guy's like the best quarterback in the league. He's going to be QB1. So I don't know about that trade, buddy. But okay, let's continue with the Jets and the Broncos. We're talking about Brees Hall. He's must start at this point. He's having some huge games.
Brees Hall.
I think he's going to have another good game against the
Broncos.
Trade
for Brees Hall.
Yeah. And I think the Jets are going to have another good defensive effort against Russell Wilson and, his Wolverine blood. He's like, what's this guy talking about? That guy's so corny. Like he tells his joke. He like laughs at it. Russell Wilson. Guy's so corny. Like, it's just unbelievable. How corny can you be? But anyway,
He
he's
he
got his Wolverine blood. So
he's really taking the fake it till you make it
oh yeah,
to the extreme,
it really is.
and he's just gonna fake his way out of this league, you know.
Fake it all the way to the bench, hang out with CR a little bit more. But anyway,
There's
you know,
rumors that like the Denver Broncos fans are like already had enough of their coach. They're like they're
yeah.
already talking about like we've seen enough, you know.
I
But
mean, uh, it's been bad. It's been. I mean, their defense is playing so well, and I think Denver's defense is legit, but they literally cannot win games because their offense stinks and their defense is holding other teams to under 20 points a game, like every game. I mean, look what they did to the Niners.
I think the
In one of the
only
wins.
game that they only let 20 points one game, and
Yeah,
their number one is I think scoring defense.
yeah. And their
And
running back situation too is kind of weird. They're saying so Melvin Gordon got benched last week, and then it was Latavius Murray off the practice squad, pretty much that like got most of the carries. And then this week they said that Melvin Gordon is back starting. So that's like all up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen with that. So I don't trust
yeah,
either of those guys at this point. So and then the receivers, Russell Wilson just is not throwing the ball well, and he's got the hurt hammy. So
he's
I'm
not
not
see
really.
he's not seeing the open receivers. He's
Yeah,
not seeing the field the way a field general should be.
yeah,
Like the target, that guy's like running to open space. Like let me throw it to him.
yeah.
He's just not seeing the field. He's too worried about the pass rush. He's
Hmm.
too he's too concerned about sounding good in the pregame and the postgame. and
Yeah.
and it's like put up or shut up, you know. Put up or shut up, bro. Like that's enough bullshit,
Let's
you know.
ride. I saw this
Like
one meme with Russell Wilson, looking like Russ Westbrook, like where it was Russ Westbrook, they're like, who can tell the difference? And then I saw this other thing that the Lakers fans last night were like, you're trying to build a house with all those bricks, right? Talking to Russell Westbrook. It's just like, they're like the same guy right now. Like the Russ, everybody's all out on the Russ right now, whether it be Westbrook or Wilson. It's just, it's just hilarious. These guys right now, how bad they are, and getting into
and
basketball a
both
little bit,
and,
but
and both of them, you know, Russell Wilson, Russell Westbrook, you know, I never heard bullshit stacked that high. You know, their excuses. You know, it's
Mhm.
like excuses expert. Like I know somebody that reminds me of an excuses expert.
You got plenty of excuses, buddy. The Colts and the Titans. Derrick Henry gonna get ton of work. And then who is Tannehill throwing to? Like, do they even have a wide receiver? I mean, it's. I think they're just going to run Henry 30 times that game and hope to get a win. And Matt Ryan, he's been decent. Like last week, he was decent. I could see him having a decent game. Michael Pittman Jr. And then it looks like Jonathan Taylor is going to be back. So I see this game being like a run heavy, kind of AFC South clash where they're just going to run the ball a ton. Maybe Matt Ryan will get a couple of passes in, but I don't know if I'm trusting him to have a huge game, but he should have a decent game.
Yeah, a lot of running and play
And
action and check downs and
honestly, I that's a pick 'em game for me. I both teams are kind of like
yeah,
whatever.
I
Yeah.
can't really decide which one
So
I think is gonna
that's a
win.
pick 'em.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about going back to the Raiders, this is a season right here. Like they're 1-4. You know, it's either 1-5 or 2-4, and
Hmm.
that's a big difference between 1-5 and 2-4. You know,
Yeah.
2-4, you can still claw your way back into the playoff race. You know, but
Hmm.
this might be not only the season on the line, but this might be the Derek Carr experiment in Vegas coming to an end on the line, you know, because
Yeah.
Derek Carr how many years are we gonna say this is the year? This is the year. This is the year. This is the year.
Yeah.
And there was such high expectations for this year. Josh McDaniels, the GM from the Patriots, the they get Devontae Adams. They already have Waller. They have Jacobs. And they pick up Jones and on the defense and Crosby, and it's like it's been such a disappointment. And
Yeah. The Raiders have a really good team. I honestly they do. They've lost their games by the tightest of margins. So I see them winning, like we talked. I see them beating the Texans this week, and I think they're going to be back in the mix.
yeah,
So let's get into the the team in their division, the LA Chargers versus the Seattle Seahawks in LA at SoFi with a bunch of Seahawks fans and maybe a couple of Chargers fans sprinkled in. So,
so Chargers not well represented there.
I mean, come on, bro. Every Chargers home game is a opposing team's home game.
Oh, really?
That stadium always gets packed. Everybody wants to get down to LA, get to SoFi, and that's the ticket to get because nobody wants to go to Chargers games. Like nobody cares. But anyways, the Chargers, that's going to be a high scoring game. You got Geno Smith who's playing well. You got Kenneth Walker who looks like a stud. That guy is shifty and he's quick and he gets out and he's a good running back.
He's good.
And he's going to have a big game. Then you've got Metcalf and Lockett going deep. And last week,
Lockett hasn't been practicing.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. But so if Lockett doesn't play, Metcalf, is looking to have a huge game. And then on the LA side, Chargers.
I have Geno playing one game in a couple leagues.
Geno should have a decent game. Herbert's going to have a good game because Seattle's defense isn't really that good.
Eckler
is a must start. Yeah, Everett, Mike Williams.
Seattle's number one against tight ends. Like they give up the most points against tight ends.
Yeah. I think Everett's going to have a big day. I think Mike Williams should have a decent day. I think Keenan Allen is going to be back, healthy, playing. So I'm starting all my Charger players. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. That's going to probably be the highest scoring game of the week. I would say the Chargers and Seahawks. That's what I think it's going over. So anybody betting on that one? I think the Chargers will pull out the win.
And for Everett, it's a revenge game.
It is a revenge game. That's right. The old revenge game. I mean, nowadays it's like there's so many revenge games because like the players move around so much. So but I do see the Chargers winning that game. Washington Commanders and the Green Bay Packers.
Next.
Ugly. Rodgers stinks. Like Rodgers is like bad now. I mean, I could see them having trouble beating Washington. Like I could just know how the Packers start off. They're going to start off slow. It's going to be a tight game. You're like, why isn't, you're expecting Rodgers to have like 3 touchdowns and like 200 yards in the first half. And like,
are either running back on the Green Bay Packers worth like starting? Like you can't really trust them.
I mean, at this point, I don't trust AJ Dillon at all. Aaron Jones hasn't been good, but I would play Aaron Jones still as an RB2 flex play.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't been good. I mean, who's been good for the Packers, surprisingly, is Allen Lazard.
Yeah.
He's like had touchdowns or he's gone over 100 yards. He's got between his lowest scoring game when he's played has been 10 points. And that was the first game he played when he came back from the ankle injury. So, every week he's scoring a touchdown or he's targeted a lot. I mean, the Packers don't have much of receiving options other than him. I mean, Romeo Doubs has had a couple of good games, but I think Allen Lazard is the guy that you trust.
Who do you think is more likely to quit in season, Brady or Rodgers?
It's even money on that one. I would say Brady more so than Rodgers, but Rodgers has that incredulous look right now because he was getting blasted last week. He looked like he did when he played the Niners like a couple of years ago, where it was like, dude, I don't want to play anymore. Can I go home? and go some shrooms or whatever he does in his free
Ayahuasca.
time. Ayahuasca, some drank. So, but I think the Packers will win that game. I mean, Washington's not a good team, and I don't think Carson Wentz is going to play, right? I think he's going to be out, but you got Heineke, right? So, last year he was the magic man, right? Or cup, right? So
Heineke was good last year.
yeah. So, you never know. You never know. I think it's going to be a tighter game than people think. I don't see I see the Packers winning, but I don't see them covering. So, just like last week, it was like Packers were like, -8. It's like, dude, that was an easy bet. Like, bet on the Jets. Sunday Night Football, we got Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The return of Tua.
Tua's back, so we'll see how he does. Hopefully, he doesn't get any concussions or anything like that. We're hoping that Tua stays healthy because, like we've talked about before. But Tyreek Hill has been a beast this year.
Tua just needs to brace himself,
yeah, brace yourself, bro. Don't just hit your head.
Those guys are big.
That's messed up.
Be careful.
So definitely Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. That's his name, right? Jaden Waddle.
Jalen
Waddle. I don't know.
Jalen Waddle.
Mostert is the starting running back now. Chase Edmonds is pretty much not. Yeah. So those three guys you're starting, and Gesicki. Surprisingly, he was like on the outs, and now he's scoring touchdowns, doing the gritty. So.
The Waddle dance,
yeah.
dance.
I can see, Gesicki having another decent game. I mean, Pittsburgh is not a good defense with Watt out. So they can be scored on. So I think Miami is going to have a decent game. Yeah. So you got Pickens, Deontay Johnson. I think that Sunday night game is going to be a high scoring game.
2 Pickens to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think Miami doesn't really have a great defense, and Pittsburgh has been struggling with Watt out. So I can see that being a good fantasy game where you get fantasy points.
What about Najee Harris?
Yeah, Najee Harris is going to have a nice game. Mostert's going to have a nice game. Hill's going to have a big game. Waddle's going to have a big game. Gesicki probably is going to score a touchdown. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with everything, but I do see Miami winning that game, and but it's going to be a good fantasy game.
Waddle needs to teach Gesicki the Waddle dance.
You need to teach me the Waddle dance. So
you're a pretty good dancer, Dr. Greek.
I can try it out. Give me the beat. So last game is Monday night. We're like dun 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 dun, right? Like Monday Night Football. I don't even know what the game is.
Patriots Bears.
Oh goodness, that's why I didn't know what game it was, because that is a terrible game. It's gonna be bad. I don't know why we get. I don't think the Bears are gonna score.
We're getting gypped on the primetime games.
Yeah, no, that's a bad game.
They should be able to flex out, like put the Chiefs 49ers on Monday night.
Right. That's like the best probably the best game of the week. Super Bowl rematch. You possibly going to get Christian McCaffrey.
Flex
his first
that
game as a Niner.
Get the Bears.
Yeah, why not? Just a day.
Come on, Roger Goodell, do your fucking job.
Do your job, buddy. Anyways,
be my dad.
That game's going to be bad.
Dad.
New England's going to win the game. Their defense is probably going to just shut Chicago down.
Zappy hour is over, though.
Yeah, it looks like Mac Jones might be back this week. So who knows?
I shed a tear.
You picked up Tyquan Thornton. He was a good. A lot of people are picking him up. He had a good game last week. So
Tyquan, they're every team's trying to get their own version of Debo. Did you notice that? Devin Duvernay,
the wide back.
The Devin Duvernay in Baltimore, Curtis Samuel in Washington, which he's droppable.
He's not. Yeah, he's droppable now. He stinks now, but whatever. We'll see if he can bounce back.
Tyquan Thornton in New England
cost me my
what?
He cost me my week last week. Damn it! Couldn't catch that 40-yard touchdown. I ended up almost coming back. My kicker, man. I need like 20 points for the kicker. It almost worked out. It was so close.
That would have been
that would have been insane, bro. Like 20 points for your kicker. It was close to happening. If they would have just drove down,
That would
Forced
have been a
OT with a
mile
field
high
goal.
miracle.
It would have been.
I
Oh
think we're
well.
done, right?
So yeah, that's the preview on all the games. We went through the recap on Thursday Night Football. We talked about the McCaffrey to the Niners trade, big trade for the Niners. And we went over all the games and our picks, our fantasy players for those games. So hopefully everybody tuned in, enjoyed, get some good advice from us, and we'll do our Monday Night Football recap and the weekend recap on Monday night. So we'll see y'all then. All right.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Is that the line?
That's the line. Love you.
All right. Happy almost birthday.
Thanks, buddy.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. Russell
right.
Wilson. Russell Westbrook.